much for joining this interaction on sustainable manufacturing. According to the latest IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report, you might have seen that climate change is now widespread. We are suffering and it is intensifying. We experienced extreme conditions and across the globe it is happening. However, sustained reductions in carbon dioxide emissions and other greenhouse gases would limit climate change. And today we are going to discuss about sustainable manufacturing and the role of biomass, biofuels, and bioenergy in mitigating the emissions and reducing the risks. This particular series is powered by BiofuelCircle, our partner. MFG Media, my organization, is a publishing media house focused on the manufacturing sector. We are a knowledge-sharing platform which connects, collaborates, and transforms various functions of the manufacturing operations, safety, sustainability, quality, people initiatives, and so on. We are pleased to partner with BiofuelCircle for this first cluster-based, cluster-focused webinar, where our focus is on Aurangabad cluster. In coming months, this will be going to the other, we'll be organizing such things, such interactions in the other clusters as well, manufacturing clusters. Recently, there was a very interesting statement by Accenture's CEO, Julie Sweet, who said that sustainability is the new digital. And one has to agree with her because this is the trend which is going to last for over next few decades as we all race towards net zero emissions. Today's program is structured like this. We have a keynote speech by Mr. Ravi Kharul, followed by corporate presentation by BiofuelCircle, technology presentation by Thermax on-site, and a panel discussion with 3 external speakers. We have, as we announced, very interesting quiz questions coming up during the course of the program, the webinar. So please pay attention because the quiz will be based on what is being presented, what is being discussed. Also, there will be a lucky draw. So if you remain towards the end, the winners will be announced and you will get some exciting prizes coming your way in terms of the lucky draw winning prizes. So with this, let me invite our keynote speaker today, who is going to present on sustainable manufacturing. Mr. Ravindra Kharul is President and Chief Technology Officer at Endurance Technologies Limited.
First of all, very good afternoon, good evening to all the participants as well as the organizers of this webinar, which is for sustainability in manufacturing industry, which is one of the noble causes. I will say sustainability being the buzzword around, and I'm sure it is going to be there for decades to come, because only the intensity is going to be more and more, but not less. So I'm sure all of us will be discussing more in practicing more and more of sustainability. Though I'm not really the expert in sustainability and how to what I like to share with you today about what are the things generally being followed in the manufacturing industry in order to practice sustainability, what are the current trends, and especially at Endurance, what's happening. So that I'll try to be as brief as possible, I think. So once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity to connect with you all. It's indeed my pleasure because I'm not that well connected with this circle, BiofuelCircle. So this is my first time I'm interacting, and I hope this will continue for a long time. So when I looked at when sustainable manufacturing ecosystem, that what it comprises. So what I felt is that it has got sort of 5 pillars to that, and it starts with products. The first thing is that when you say manufacturing industry, certainly we are manufacturing some or the other product. So first question we need to answer, are our products sustainable? Are we moving towards more and more sustainability? And that is where a lot of things come in at the design stage itself, wherein you look at it like, for example, across industry now, lightweighting is the key thing that is going on, which enhances the sustainability. For our products, like especially I'm now talking about automotive industry, because I'm all along in the automotive industry. So in automotive industry, our products like vehicles run on the fuel. So certainly, first thing is that can we eliminate the fuel itself? I'm sure that is not possible. So that's why we start looking at, can we reduce? So first thing comes in is that if I do lightweighting, the requirement of fuel comes down immediately. So how do we do lightweighting? Or how do we do some other things also? For example, getting onto hybrid vehicles or electric vehicles, so that we go towards more and more sustainable efforts. There are many things to do, not linked. For example, even reducing the plating, like hard chrome plating. If we can reduce that, we are going towards more sustainable things. And once we look at like all different aspects of product design, next thing comes is what are the processes involved? Are we really looking at sustainable processes? So whether sustainable processes being followed, we can reduce the number of processes, or even we can look at which are environmental friendly processes. And we can look at, for example, simple example of when we use a conveyor system in our manufacturing process, can you make good use of gravity and reduce the energy requirement itself? Though it appears very simple, but I'm sure it is quite difficult to implement everywhere. So at least wherever you can that much you can reduce the energy. Every bit and piece of energy saved is helpful. In the processes also, what are the manufacturing, say, like when you are using the compressed air, can I reduce the wastages of that? Every place, if you just see that the compressed air is just letting go, if you close all those things, the loopholes of that, I think you can save a lot. And later when we go, I'll show you how in endurance, like we could get a good benefit out of looking at all these small thing wastages also. Simple thing is lights. Instead of going to the regular our lights and tube lights and CFLs, can we get into the LEDs? It certainly is more sustainable as compared to the other light source. So like that, then when you look at the third pillar is operational safety. How do we enhance operational safety at looking at each and every aspect of our actions in operations? Next thing is on the health and environment. There's a fourth pillar on health and environment, even the personal health. If you look at each and every aspect of human contributing to all this manufacturing and all, it certainly helps in enhancing the sustainability. Even the ergonomics, the person, the right movement of the operator, the fatigue of the operator, when you look at that and improve on reducing that, I think we can go towards an inch or a mile or a centimeter or a millimeter. We start inching towards better sustainability. Next thing is on the waste management. That is the fifth pillar, I would say. And when we look at fifth pillar, waste management, every industry will keep on creating some of the waste which are desirable or undesirable. Sometimes something you cannot avoid, but at least can you minimize? Can you ensure that at least whatever is the waste, can it be recycled? So when we start looking at it in really in a deeper manner, we can start enhancing that. One good example, I'll say that most of our say packaging go waste over a period, right? At the end of when it reaches our customers. So we are looking at more or less converting all of our packaging, especially plastic packaging, into biodegradable. And biodegradable ones, it is quite, we have made a good start into that area also. So when you look at it like sustainable lean manufacturing, which is also towards a sort of one more step towards sustainability. If you look at it right, so what are the customer, whatever is the demand pool is there for that, what are the things we are doing in order to ensure this sustainable? So start with say one single piece flow, or start looking at load balancing capacity, applying the simple principles like, do I require this process at all? Or can I eliminate? Or can I reduce? Or can I simplify? Can I rearrange? So there are the different things which we can look at in order to make it more sustainable things. Then 5 years at workplace. though it appears that how it is going to have a sustainability impact. But believe me, if you do that properly, you will be reducing a lot of waste, you will be reducing a lot of unnecessary efforts, you will be reducing a lot of non-value added activities, and that helps in enhancing our sustainability. Then just-in-time inventory, that also helps in ensuring that we are then reducing our inventory, which in a way we are looking at the sustainable products. So when we look at what are the keys to sustainability, and this is what I felt the interesting thing is that if we increase our vocabulary and if we imbibe that vocabulary of re, I just tried to put in as many rewords here as possible. If you try to just read out, I think everywhere there is a sustainability involved. Whether it is replacing something with regenerating, rework, replenish, reform, reuse, reclaim. I think I can go on reading it. Everywhere you can implement it such a way that you inch towards sustainable future. And I feel that two things of whatever I discussed today, one thing is this, and one I'm coming out with a simple mantra on sustainability. If you carry forward that, I think we are, then at least I am successful in what I wanted to convey this to this forum. At endurance is that we are concentrating quite a lot on energy conservation, and we have saved over 1.5 million units of electricity by doing various initiatives, starting with the solar panels at rooftop. We have got already established capacity of 5 megawatts plus, and then transparent roofing to reduce the natural requirement of lights. What I was mentioning about the actions we are taking on the energy conservation at endurance, and it was well recognized by government also, and we got the award from National Energy Conservation Award in 2017 for automobile sector, which was at the hands of our President Ramnath Kovind at that time. Mantra or for sustainability, what I feel is that ERCAs, eliminate, reduce, combine, and substitute for each and every activity, wherever there is energy required, whatever are the operations, complete process, product, everywhere. I think this is the simple mantra. I saw that it can be implemented, whether it is design, whether it is process, anything. You can ask the question further. First is that, do I need that? Can I not eliminate? If I can't eliminate, can I reduce? Like fuel requirement, as we said, no, can I reduce the fuel? If I cannot reduce the fuel, can I combine? And that's how today biofuels we have, where petrol is then mixed with ethanol, 5%, 10%, 20%. If I cannot combine, or if I want still more benefit, can I substitute? And the EV is a good example of substitute to IC engines, but I'll say it's not only to the product or something. Everywhere, even in the manufacturing process, this can be applied as a simple mantra. So you can carry on with this ERCS as a one word, I think, and then the re-vocabulary. I think that's all I wanted to say. And you can go to just next slide, which I'll say that this is for the biofuel. Of course, I do not understand much on the biofuels, but this is what I could see, that when from primitive biofuels, which India used to use, or even nowadays also you can see that villages are using this fuel, but which are more polluting. And from there, the journey is towards the sustainable biofuel. And I'm sure people will be covering, next experts will be covering more on this and how we are heading towards the sustainable biofuels going forward. So thank you. Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity, and I wish all the success.
A very good evening, everyone. Nice to talk to you, and thank you for joining this webinar. Mr. Karul, thank you for an excellent beginning. And I think I will pick up from where you left off about substitution. So my name is Ashwin Save, and I am the co-founder of BiofuelCircle, which is a digital platform for biomass and biofuels. And the theme here is substitution. But before we go there, this is how we see ourselves. We see ourselves as a catalyst, and the theme that we work on is doing well by doing good. So as part of these interactions, what we want to be is a voice for the circular economy. We want to bring in some visionary organizations like we have today, and some very committed leaders in the panel, and bring all their thoughts together, bring the diversity that they represent, bring professionals who can talk about approaches that are not theoretical but can cause significant change, can be needle moving, and take this whole sustainability dialogue from philanthropy or CSR activity into business strategy. And that's the idea behind inviting all of you together, where we can combine all of these and in the process give wings to new ideas, help create a new business mantra which is built around circular economy, which is built around sustainability, and it brings economic value into the whole industrial supply chain. So what is the circularity concept, and where does bioenergy plug in? Just to share with you the potential that exists in our country. Every year, if you look at the 10 major states of India, which are agricultural rich states, they produce close to 650 million tons of biomass. And of that 650 million tons, 235 million is wasted. It is residual. It is not used at all. But should we, or when we are able to utilize them, we can meet 17% of the country's energy needs. That's a significant dent. 17% of our needs also translates to a foreign exchange savings of 24,000 crore rupees. This is a potential that can be tapped should we able to address the residual biomass. Now, this biomass is coming from farmers, which means that it can provide additional income to farmers. We've estimated that for a typical 2-acre farm, biomass, which is waste, which is thrown away, can supplement farmer income by as much as 15,000 rupees. By putting this supply chain together, we can create a linkage between rural and industrial enterprises, and in the process, help industries like yourselves make green energy choices, move away from polluting fossil fuels to fuels which are green, are sustainable. Also, in the process, create or generate carbon offsets, and those offsets can be monetized. Now, today there is increasing, I would say, value for these carbon offsets. They were quiet for a while, but now this can also be not just cost saving, but revenue generation, however small, for industries. So what are the problems? Why is it that we are not able to utilize this potential? And this is what we as a company are trying to solve. Let's start at the source. Indian farmers are typically small landowners. They are geographically diverse. The farms are inaccessible. So this makes it difficult to collect. This makes it a challenge to aggregate the biomass. As I mentioned, the land holding is typically pretty small. The amount of biomass or agricultural residue that you generate is also not large enough to move. Now, if we go to the farmers, there is no incentive for them. They don't know, or there is nobody who's picking this up at economic value, and which is why they end up burning it. And you see the problems that happen typically in North India. I mean, just to share a number with you, as much as 90 million tons of biomass is burned in and around the national capital region. It is estimated that it costs the economy as much as $2 billion every year. And why do they do it? Once again, it's awareness and no economic incentive. The largest incentive, if at all, has to be economic. Okay, so now if we are able to collect the biomass, the challenge is seasonality. There are two major crop seasons in a year, and so agricultural residue is only going to be available for about 2 to 3 months. When you process it, you're typically going to hold inventory of 6 to 8 months. So for a processor or for an aggregator, that is capital lock. So the cost of holding it is preventing this whole industry from scaling. And like yourselves, industrial buyers typically tend to buy from people or vendors that you have cultivated over a period of time. So because there is reliability and because you have worked with them, so they are known sources of supply. These rural suppliers, farmers, or even FPOs do not have direct access to industrial buyers. That's another problem that we would want to solve by creating a marketplace, an online marketplace for biomass, biofuels, as well as byproducts such as fertilizers. We call this a farm to fuel ecosystem, a three-sided marketplace that connects not just buyers and sellers, but also provides the means for moving the goods from the buyer to the seller. That's transport. So as you see in this graphic, it's taking biomass that is generated at the farm. It's helping rural enterprises, processors, plugging that into industry, providing the network in form of transport as well as trade finance to facilitate movement of goods as well as access to capital, and bringing back the byproducts such as biofertilizer or even the green energy from a biodiesel to farmers, thus completing a circular chain of this economy. How do we solve this on the digital platform? In order to connect all these various participants, we enable them to find each other, to promote themselves, to connect with potential suppliers as well as potential customers, evaluate them so that before you do business, you know the party that you're engaging with. We have rating mechanisms, we have profiles which enable our buyers and sellers to know upfront that yes, this is a reliable party to do business with. Conclude a deal through various online tools, and we have various mechanisms, including auctions, by which you can discover prices. You can plan your procurement. Once you do that, you can move the goods through automated scheduling processes, tap into our network of transportation, which works similar to your e-commerce apps, where you can track and trace where your goods are. You don't have to chase trucks and chase deliveries, and settle the transaction through paperless means, through digital processes where we have tied up with leading payment gateways like Razorpay. And because we have an electronic, I would say, record of all the activities, it enables us to bring in trade finance for the participants in the supply chain, which normally do not have access to low-cost finance. All in all, a complete solution for all biocommodities, and a marketplace. And how does a marketplace work for you? Why is it different? You see, traditionally a market will set prices, but a marketplace will help you discover a price. And as smart buyers, that's what you would want, or as smart sellers, that's what you would look for. The way we roll this out, we do that by creating a local market. A local market is typically an area which has got a decent amount of biomass potential, something like 3 lakh tons per year. And because biomass does not travel very far, so it's about 200-kilometer radius at the most. We've started this activity in Maharashtra itself, and are in the process of launching operations in Tamil Nadu, Gujarat. By the end of the year, we will have presence in Karnataka and Punjab as well. So we start with a locality, a 200-kilometer radius area, which has got, let's say, farms and rural presence, which generates agricultural produce and hence agricultural waste. Bring in an anchor company which will consume the bioenergy products that are created. Bring in consumers as well, industrial consumers like yourself. Bring in processors who will provide you with the fuel. Green coal, which comes in form of briquettes or pellets, as well as biodiesel and biogas, which is an upcoming sector in the country, and provide the supply by enabling the rural side of the ecosystem. How do we do that? How do we create the ecosystem? through a series of biomass enterprises, as we like to call them. So these are the farm to factory connections that we create, aggregation through FPOs, farmer producer organization. We help them use their idle assets like tractors or storage areas. Over a period of time, we would like FPOs to get into processing the biomass in form of bales or briquettes, and then use the products that are generated in burning as well. So if you burn briquettes, you would get bed ash that can be used for bricks or paver blocks. And in the CPG and biodiesel plants, you would get biofertilizer, which can be brought back to the farmers. So this is an ecosystem that we create that feeds into the industrial areas like Aurangabad, like Pune, the clusters that exist in Maharashtra, and enables this farm to fuel connection. Now, how do you benefit? Through digitalization, we would like to offer you wider choices, and these are not just an expanded basket of suppliers, but reliable suppliers who we have vetted. Bring in transparency in the procurement process, allow you to reach out non-traditional suppliers who can give you better prices and bring efficiency into the whole supply chain activity. We do that by a lot of community engagement, where we are sharing information, we are creating awareness and providing the incentives to not burn the biomass, but feed it into this complex. In the process, giving you industries access to green energy by building in tools such as blockchain, which will bring traceability and thus give you greenhouse or GHG credits or carbon credits that you can potentially trade. Biomass or bioenergy, we believe, is a form of renewable energy that really touches the lives of people. You know, solar energy or wind energy, you set up something and it runs on its own. Bioenergy it comes from the work of the farmers, from the harvest that they do, and by creating a rural ecosystem, we can help promote rural employment, we can give a boost to the rural economy, and in the process provide choices for green energy to manufacturing activities who are interested in changing to sustainability. So with that, I will quickly close my introduction to the company. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your ideas as well.
Well, thanks a lot, Manishji, for having me here. And my today's topic, although it's a very vast topic, clean technologies in bioenergy, I will just try to skim through or have just an introductory session for all the participants. When we talk of the overall energy usage, and if we map the entire energy consumption by the industries, typically more than 70% of the energy which is consumed by the industries is in the form of thermal processes. Thermal processes meaning something is getting heated or cooled or dried, something like that. And more than 70% of the total energy consumption is attributable to this. It's much larger compared to the electrical utilization, what is done by the businesses. And that is where the maximum impact can be made in terms of sustainability when you are addressing the thermal processes. Typically, you can see here there are almost most of the part is a low temperature processes which is catered to by industrial boilers and heaters, and there are some furnaces also which are involved into this. And when we see the fuel split for these thermal processes, typically you will see that predominantly around more than 70% again is catered to by the fossil fuels, that is the coal. Coal is the most dominant fuel which is used for process heatings, and followed by the petroleum oils and natural gas. Petroleums are nowadays it is reducing. Furnace oil is the only key oil which is currently getting used. Use of high-speed diesel almost now ruled out because of the high prices, and natural gas is there and it's set to increase. But you can see that very small portion of renewables, basically because renewables like wind and solar, they come in the form of electricity and not in the form of thermal processes. Very small portion is scattered by renewables. And as far as sustainable solutions are concerned, the majority of the things you will see that this bioenergy of almost 23%, which is catering to the sustainable part of the fuels. Now, if we have to reduce this non-sustainable part, that is the coal and petroleum, mainly, the use of bioenergy needs to get more and more share of this particular pie, and that is where we are looking at the bioenergy as a biggest source of sustainability when it comes to industrial segments. What is bioenergy basically? Bioenergy is that energy which is derived from the recently living organic materials. So this is very important, that bioenergy is produced by the organic or living materials, and you can see a lot of land use is associated with the use of bioenergy. So you have some food producing farmlands, you have the lands which are used for the livestock, which are used for the and there are lands which are forest lands, and there are lands where you are cultivating the wood for the exclusive use as a energy source. And all this land is basically contributing to various forms of biomasses, which then go into a bioenergy spectrum, whereas it is used in the various forms. Also, many of these products coming from this land go into the consumption side, that is either a direct consumption or in the industry, and then some waste is generated, and that waste again goes back into as an input to the various forms of bioenergies. So when we talk of bioenergy, typically we can classify them conventionally as a solid forms, liquid forms, and gaseous forms of bioenergies. And you can see that solid forms, I mean, I'm sure everyone who is attending here is aware of this biomass, what we is typically used. You would be using it already, or maybe you would have seen this being used by some of the industries. So rices, wood chips, and briquettes and pellets are the majority of the solid fuels or solid biomasses which are used, and these are typically comparatively a good quality, high calorific value. Comparatively, I'm saying kind of a stock which is getting used in a direct form. So you just take it and use it in your boilers, whereas there are liquids like biodiesels and ethanols and gases which are used in various different setups. Now, going just a little bit understanding it in deeper, when we talk of a solid form of bioenergy, it's the cheapest form of bioenergy. Why we say so is because it is consumed without any processing. So you get some, like Ashwinji was sharing, you collect the biomass from the fields and directly you use it in your boilers, and you can use this particular thing at the cheapest rate available, and that is why you will see that most of the low process heaters or boilers are getting converted onto biomass whenever and wherever there is possibility. Of course, there are challenges associated with this particular use of biomass, because there is a challenge of availability, which Ashwinji was trying to address. There is a huge variability. There's a change in the moisture, change in the calorific values, ash percentages. The logistics is very difficult. Getting consistently the required amount of biomass around the year is also a very big challenge. Basically, because these are coming from the farmlands, and then they have a cyclic nature of operation. To deal with all these problems, you obviously need a lot of logistical solutions. Plus, when it comes inside your factory and you start using it in your boilers, you need automated combustions, you need specialized boiler designs, you need the pressure part cleaning technologies, because these fuels are in a way very dirty fuel, which creates a lot of fouling inside the boiler, and there are issues with respect to operational issues which you need to taken care of. So you basically need a very specialized solution for the biomasses, but when you do it, you would be able to get a reliable energy and a very sustainable energy, because all these fuels are carbon neutral fuels. So this is about solid forms. And when it comes to liquid forms, liquid form of bioenergy is not directly used in industries much. It is mainly used for the mobility solutions. So we are here talking of biodiesel or bioethanol. They may not be very economical when it comes to firing it inside your boiler, but definitely they can power your vehicles or that kind of a requirement. So you can see that there are stages of this liquid bioenergy development, and the first generation was with corn and maize and starch, and you would be aware that a lot of debate had happened with respect to food security versus the energy security, that kind of thing, and that is where we entered into the era of second generation production methods, which is where a non-grain based feedstocks were utilized. So this is like this rice straw, which is famously, many companies are right now setting up the plants here. The first plants are being set up in India on a large scale, and this is where we are expecting that this particular technology will get a good trajectory, will start producing these liquid forms of bioenergies in very large quantums, and also it will give some solutions to some of the other problems, like Manish was mentioning, the burning of the crops and all those things. So it's a win-win kind of a situation. However, at some point of time, we are also going to reach a stage where the additional use of bioliquid energy may not be possible because of the pressure on the land. We have a limited farmland, and we may not be able to produce as much as required on the farmlands. And that is where the third generation, which is yet to get commercialized or yet to come on a commercial scale, is on the microalgae. This is the development which is currently going on, and people are setting up the demonstration plants where this algae is grown inside the transparent tubes, and that particular technology is some 100 times effective compared to the conventional biomass what we use. So this is where the liquid bioenergy is heading towards, and the ultimate end result would be having a bioethanol which will be used more and more towards the transportation solutions and other liquid usages. Coming to the gas form of the bioenergy, you would have heard, I'm sure, that a lot of action is happening on biogas or a bio CNG spectrum, wherein the biomass is used and used to generate the biogas, and then the biogas is purified to the highest level, and it becomes as good as a natural gas, and that can be used for any of the solutions where natural gas is used. So you can use it in your industry as well as you can use it for the transportation purpose. The best part about this is that it can use a very low calorie feedstock. For example, it can use a wet kind of things like a food waste. It can use a wet waste from the municipal wastelands. So all these kind of a very low end feedstocks can be used, and the gas can be generated, and the gas is stored at a very high pressure, and then it can be transported in the cylinders, and that is why it gives a good amount of flexibility. We would be seeing a lot of this biogas or bio CNG forms coming up in the coming future. So this is about the forms of the energy, and then what we should expect going forward. Obviously, we are everyone is aware of the energy plantation which is happening in lots of areas, and then there are also debates now going on that whether use of the land for the energy plantation, whether it is helping the environment or it is counterproductive. All such things are happening, and I am sure going forward you would see this algae production plant, and these kind of things will also coming. This is a very interesting graph which shows that this is the lighter shade shows that the artificially made algae, and you can see that it is exponentially growing, and very soon we can see the plants which will be generating the algae for the use as a feedstock for the biogas plants, or as a maybe they can be dried and used as a solid fuel, or maybe they can be converted into oil fired. So a lot of flexibility and everything is going to happen. This is what the technology is currently under development. And we don't know going forward, combination of the biomass and the hydrogen technology would probably create a few more exciting opportunities, particularly for the mobility sector. And that is where we can see this bioenergy going forward. Lastly, just to introduce the organization which I represent. So I'm here representing Thermix On-Site Energy Solutions. We are 100% own subsidiary of Thermix Limited. All of you are aware about Thermix Limited, Thermix Group. And we are basically a 100% sustainable company. We deal in sustainable solutions only. And what we do is Thermix On-Site Energy Solutions set up all these utility services. So we can provide steam, chilled waters, treated waters, solar, cogen, everything. And the entire investment part of the project, the technology part of the project, the statutory part of the project, operation, maintenance, basically the entire thing which are required to be done for this particular utility provision is taken care by TOSIL. And you can use it as outsourced utility, and you can whatever utility you have outsourced, you can consume it on a usage basis, per unit basis. So for example, if you have gone for a steam, you can pay for per kg of a steam, and you don't need to bother anything about what's going on the boiler side. Entire logistics of the fuel, everything is taken care by us. This is what in short we have achieved in last 11 years of operation. Currently, we source and burn 1,000 tons per day equivalent of biomass. We have 4,000 KL plus of water treatments going on per day basis, and we use different kinds of biomass fuels, more than 25 biomass fuels. We have 32 installations, and then they're growing. So with this, I will end my presentation.
Next section of the webinar, which is a panel discussion with three eminent speakers, and we are very extremely pleased to have the speakers from a variety of you. Mr. Amlekar, let me start with you and ask you the first question about the use of biomass as an energy. And you manage two factories in Chikalthana and Vaduz. So may I request you to share your experiences on the use of biomass?
Thank you, Manish, for the nice introduction. And so far, all the participants and panelists' presentations, what we had seen. Now, coming to our experience, we have, as you said, we have two locations. And at one of our locations at Vaduz, we are producing steam using biomass. So what we did a decade back was we converted one of our existing boilers, steam boiler, which was furnace oil fired as part of energy conservation project, to biomass fired boiler. And I think as Thermix, Mr. Joshi was explaining, there are a lot of issues with respect to operation and maintenance of such existing systems which are converted to using biomass. Of course, the technology has matured much enough now, and it has not become a nightmare as it was earlier. So what we have been doing is just to share with you some case study for all participants to understand. We had an 18 metric ton steam boiler, which we converted to biomass firing with the help of an external furnace, which we can call it similarly to gasifier, but it doesn't really function exactly as gasifier. It's an external furnace from which you have these flue gases going after burning the biomass inside to the main chamber of the boiler, and from there they go to the for recovery of the heat to the water preheater and economizer, and then to the stacked chimney via some cyclone for particulate matter removal and improving the flue gas quality. So this is a simple system, and we are using it successfully, but a lot of there are pains while we operate it. So some of the things which even Mr. Joshi had in its, and one of your poll question, getting reliable suppliers is always an issue. You may find some supplier, but consistency in the quality of supply is another issue with respect to calorific value, with respect to moisture content and all other properties. Second thing is when you are converting such existing system or even for a new system, one of the or few of the issues which we are related is you need a lot of space compared to a conventional fuel fired boiler, which could be for biomass storage, for handling, for inventories, and the kind of assurance you have to keep with the supplier's potential to supply with the logistic issues to maintain the continuity of operation. So you can't rely on just a biomass boiler for a continuous, for those who are operating with continuous process plant. You just can't have biomass boiler and you need to have one standby with furnace oil fired or LSHS fired, so that in case of any issues with the supply or quality of biomass, you still remain with your assured steam supply or fuels or the hot oil supply. Another is when you go to biomass conversion, of course, as I said, now the technologies have matured, but it adds to some of the electrical equipments. So electrical power consumption in a conventional fuel fired boiler compared with the biomass is much lower because we need a lot of ID fans and some handling equipment. Then, as I said, you need some dust removal equipments.
Shirish, you handle a very large portfolio of products at ITC in terms of foods business, and you have your own 10 plants plus one large factory. So total 11 plants of your own you manage. So I wanted to check with you on your journey of transitioning to the biofuels and some of the challenges what you faced.
Manishji, so I just, I think most of us may be aware about, so our vision for the ITC is putting the nation first. And so basically it is a nation first and sab saath bade. In line with that, we have started our journey long back, actually almost like 20 years ago as a ITC. Currently, if you see, ITC has been carrying unique distinction of being carbon positive for almost 16 years in row and water positive for 19 years, solid waste recycling positive for almost 14 years now. And how this is achieved, we strongly believe that anything when the enterprises make societal value creation, so which is very, very integral part of any corporate strategy if we adopt it, and powerful drivers of innovation emerge, and that along with growth, you can achieve this kind of stuff by doing for all the stakeholders. And our approach for the sustainability is embedded, basically it needs to be embedded into the business operations. Otherwise, it will not happen. So one is everything is around the low carbon footprint by practicing when we design the plant, the infrastructure. So we also follow the total cost of ownership kind of concepts actually, and then also nowadays checks happens on the green energy and green power as well as fuel, renewable kind of stuff. And then another stuff is about water management, and then third stuff is about solid waste management. However, today I think our topic is largely restricted to the energy, so I will stick to that. But the other two topics are also very, very crucial and very important, especially solid management, and then plastic and other stuff is very, very crucial. We are in the FMCG business. Another things we have ITC is one of the company conglomerate which is like a vertically integrated, backward integrated as well as forward things. And we work on through our one of the along with NGO, and we call our own organization is in place. Our resources are there. Called is Mission Sunera Kal. So under that there is a lot of CSR as well as all these activities happen. So large things driving the behavioral changes, strengthen capability, community-based organizations, and all that. Signing a lot of MOUs with the government organizations, states departments, and all that. And then driving the so coming back to the especially on this power, fuel, and energy. We have taken our journey currently on the sustainability 2.0. While I just shared what ITC we did, but now we would like to go to the next level, especially our goal is to achieve a very ambitious goal. Our chairman has already made it and basis this 1819, the baseline. So our aim is to create 100% renewable electricity for across the ITC businesses, including the food business. And overall total energy, including the thermal and power, should be at least minimum 50% by 2030. Specific power energy consumption should reduce at least by 30%. Greenhouse reduction emissions should reduce by 50%. Specific water consumption should reduce by 40%, and then achieve this water security through various sustainable initiatives. So that is already happening. So few examples I would like to tell about my business, where I basically from the food business. So we have installed on-site solar. We have like Manishji you already mentioned, we are around 11, 12 our own factories, and then almost a large number of our co-manufacturing facilities across length and breadth of India. So we believe that it needs a distributed, one is like a distributed supply chain or manufacturing footprint. It really helps for the business from the also a sustainable point of view, as well as providing the fresher and fresh products to the consumers actually. So we have on-site. So most of our factories are having the on-site roof solar top solar things actually already there. We have a biomass boiler already installed at 2 of our factories. One place it is through the TOSEL, what I think Mr. Thermax team has already explained. So we have that kind of model actually. It is at Pune Ranjangaon, and we have installed one boiler at Mysore factory where it is installed by us, and then we run that with biomass fuel. And currently 4 factories are being converted into 100%. So one is our Panchla factory in Kolkata. Then there is a Kapurthala factory in Punjab, Haridwar factory, and the factory in Bangalore, which is a Malur factory. So these 4 factories, entire steam, basically thermal, we are converting into the biomass. There's a big initiative, big investments are happening. So by end of say this year or another 9 months, 10 months time, I think our footprint, especially in the food business, we will be able to take it to the 30 to 35% of the thermal the renewable energy. And as far as the power power is concerned, so sorry, so it was it will with this 4 coming in, it will go to the 58% by another year's time from current 20% footprint. While from the renewable power, we have solar panels installed at various places at Kapurthala, Trichy factory in Tamil Nadu, Ulubaria, Panchla at the West Bengal, then Pune, Haridwar, as well as in Guwahati factory. All our factories now we are going ahead with offset on-site solar. Also, we are putting up the big offsite solar facility in Tamil Nadu as well as in Karnataka. So our aim is to take this renewable power also to the next 4-5 years time to the 70% plus. In line with that, our thermal footprint also, we would like to take it to at least 65 to 70% by next 5 years time. So I think big focus we are giving for the solar currently in line with the way I think our mission, our Prime Minister and the entire central government, a huge amount of push is happening in this solar energy and wind we are already in the wind big way. More than 100 megawatt power is already we are sourcing through the wind, and then the solar we have big plans for the offsite solars. Another area is about all these thermal things, and then we strongly believe, because today technologies are yet to be evolved, because we are in the continent where we are blessed with the solar power actually energy most of the throughout the year at various places across the India. And if we are able to tap that, I think we will be able to get a humongous amount of power, which will be at very, very meager prices and cost. So that we will be able to, and then I personally feel very strongly, I feel that technologies are also evolving. As we progress, this electricity energy will become cheaper, almost like currently 1.5, 2 rupees, 3 rupees, and all that, it will come down. So, and then some technologies will evolve that may lead to the development of another technologies converting of this cheaper electricity into the, even in the areas of thermal and all that. I urge my colleagues in Thermax also look into that. I think they might be already looking into it. So that could be another big opportunities, will come another 10 years down the line. Today, it may not be fully feasible. Yes, there are some feasibilities are there with smaller scale, but large scale it will come. And biomass is a big thing, actually. I think whatever I just saw the presentation by from Litosel by Rishikesh. It is another one big area. I remember, I understand government also has a huge like focus on central government putting across India some 5,000 plus biomass, biogas kind of projects across India. And then so those, I think there is a focus is coming. Yes, so there are certain challenges and all that. Maybe I'll come in the latter section of the thing. But we are very much into it. We are very committed as our as a company. We are very much committed. We are started our journey in 25 years ago, and we are very much committed. Though our chairman has committed by 2030, our internal aim is to reach there much before, maybe next 5-6 years time. Thank you, Manish.
Okay, great, Shiri. Thank you so much, Mr. Yadav, for sharing all this. This is quite interesting and encouraging to see your journey as well as your future plans. Tushar, my first question to you will be, now we heard the industry, we heard the challenges, we heard the opportunity. Could you please highlight how BiofuelCircle addresses these challenges faced by the industry for use of bioenergy, and what are the customer benefits?
Thank you, Manish. I would like to start, begin by thanking ProMFG for organizing this event. I would also like to thank all the panelists and the speakers, the eminent speakers here, for their time and their effort, to contribute to this, and also the participants who have tuned in to, listen to this interaction. So Manish, coming to your question, and I would like to take a step back, from what you said, and if you see what Mr. Yadav had to say right now, or what Mr. Ambekar had to say before that, one of the key challenges, that we also found when we were looking at, setting this, designing this solution, was the availability, or rather the availability of a reliable supply chain for bioenergy. So there has been awareness, there has been willingness. However, there has been reluctance because of the non-availability of an assured supply chain. And that became, sort of our first objective to provide to our customers and participants on the platform. In terms of, then leading from there, the benefits that we believe we want to provide to our customers. One is create some sort of an advisory so that those companies who are or those participants who want to use bioenergy for their processes, we can provide them effective advisory in terms of the local mix, because end of the day, it's important to use the resources which are available around you, and use them effectively to make the whole solution really sustainable. So one is that we aim to provide an advisory in terms of the local mix. From there on, then the next step, and that's how logically, if you see, this should go, is to find out who are the people who can fulfill this requirement, who are the players who can be the suppliers. So one needs to then discover participants, one needs to discover the suppliers who can then fulfill the need. Then comes the question of discovering the right kind of a price, for this. And from there on, then it's a normal business trade. So one has to then facilitate the deals, one has to facilitate contracts, one has to facilitate the scheduling of it, deliveries, the routine thing, all the way up to digital invoices. And beyond that, in terms of making finance also available, at the marketplace, and then finally calculating the benefit that all of this thing, all of this effort accrues to the environment in the form of a green envelope, which should tell you what's the kind of impact one has created on the environment. So this end-to-end solution and the benefits which I mentioned are the ones which we aim to provide on the platform to our customers.
Very nice, Tushar. So you are addressing the challenges by creating a reliable supply chain and connecting different stakeholders. Could you share the trends, what you observe in terms of the adoption of biomass energy, and what are the subsectors of the manufacturing industry which are early adopters, and what trends you see, because you're speaking to so many of your potential people who will come on your platform?
So Manish, in terms of us, I would not call bioenergy as a calling, but it's basically sort of an awareness and a certain consciousness around the sustainability or the sustainability agenda that drives some of these decisions. So what we are seeing is companies who are aware or who are more conscientious about sustainability and the impact of the fuel that they use on climate are obviously the early adopters, because they are the ones who start. There are a variety of industries who are using it. So it's not now limited just to a few, but a whole host of segments or sectors, say from the chemical to to maybe tire manufacturers, to paints, to textile, to a lot of sectors are now switching and making a successful switch to bioenergy. I would also like to pay a tribute here to some of the smaller players whom I would say are the early adopters, and they are the ones who believed in this segment and who set up plants and machineries for creating the fuel out of biomass, say the briquette manufacturers, for example, because they are the ones who really believed in this, and they are the ones who set up the plants for providing of biomass to industries who needed this. So I think that's how I would like to summarize the response to your question.
Right. Thanks, Tushar. Maybe we can have a quick closing comment also from Mr. Amlekar and Mr. Yadav, and then I'll ask you one more question.
Thank you, Manish, for another opportunity. When we talk of sustainable manufacturing, it's not kind of an ornamental thing everyone has to adopt to improve the ESG rating of the company or to help in some kind of business promotion, or it has to be wholeheartedly and religiously implemented in the organization. A lot of people think of, initiate this activity as a lot of companies, they do it for as part of energy conservation. And once they find there are some constraints or hurdles in implementing it, it's left half-heartedly and it doesn't reach to the desired goal and target. So sustainability, which is part of circle, we are in plastic manufacturing, so there are a lot of other things which I can share on sustainability, but with the time constraint, we cannot do that. My friend at ITC also, they have big packaging wing with them. So they also know what is the importance of sustainability and circular economy in the packaging industry, specifically with the polyester or polypropylene plastics. So water conservation, solid waste disposal, effluent treatment, STPs, all are part of sustainable manufacturing, and they need to be installed, operated with all such, or you can say even multi-effect evaporators. A lot of people are installing RO plants. So we have an RO plant from Thermax, which we are operating under BOT concept, which is helping us in a great way, 110 KL per day. So these things, I just wanted as a closing remark say that going towards sustainability, do not look it as ornamental or a documentary kind of activity. It has to be wholeheartedly implemented, looking at the future of our, you can say, economy as well as ecology.
Yes. Well said. Yeah. Well said, sir. Mr. Shirish Yadav, your closing remarks in 2 minutes.
Yeah. I would like to just add, I think I agree with many points here by Mr. Amlikar. So, see, there are certain challenges currently from the biomass, say, sourcing point of view. I think earlier speakers are already shared about it. One is about consistently getting this calorific gross as well as net calorific seasonal, because these are the seasonal and then agriculture waste commodity. Many adulteration, this clay and cement sometimes. So it is, some are by design it comes, some are by notion or because of behavior things, I think it is. So that stuff is also there, then it adds to the moisture, ash content, and then related disposal related issues. General challenges, if you see it from the biomass sourcing point of view, it can be categorized under 3-4 areas, say operational. So unavailability of the right kind of feedstocks, then inefficient conversion facilities, then immature industry chain, basically supply, logistics, transport, everything. It is not very, very mature. Plus, this is very bulky, very high voluminous kind of stuff. So how we can compress it or something. So those things are yet not, I think, fully thrashed out, and so there something needs to be done. So briquette area, I think some things are happening, but it is very, very at distributed levels actually. Then there is an economic related, basically acquisition of the biomass, then financing avenues. I think someone spoke about it. So this industry also, there is not something needs to be thought about how these industries and these small players can be financed well. Then there is a social issues, land issues. I think during Thermax presentation it was spoken about whether to use for the biomass kind of stuff, or then there will be a lot of, I think, things needs to be at, and environmental aspects related stuff needs to be thrashed out. Regulatory and policy, I think almost nothing is there. So there is a big thing is required to support, evolve and support this segment so that this segment can really take up. I just wanted to say at our place, what another things, avenues we are looking at actually. So basically, big way we are seriously looking into the one is obviously biomass boilers and all that. That is already happening. I already shared, but we are closely and very, very seriously looking into compressed biogas, CBG, as a replacement to the LPG. So that we are looking at. So closer to the factories, whether it is, again, there is a lot of other challenges, logistics, as well as availability of those feedstocks closer to the factories. Yeah. Another area is about the lot of wastes are available, our hotels and food factories and all that, so edible oil wastes. So whether that can be, then some things are being worked out, whether it can be converted into the biodiesel and all that. Third area is about the converting this farm waste. So like we have paperboard, the industry also, factories also. So it is a like farm to biogas or converting. So whether there is any opportunity there. So another area is about the exploring the feasibility of and capture the methane gas from ETP. So I think Mr. Amlikar was talking about by using UASPR technologies and all that. So big way, I recollect, I think a lot of our central government is just talking about this bioethanol, blending of the ethanol into the petrol and diesel and all that. So when biodiesel is a big way, it is going to come up. And as an industry, I think we need to be ready for that. And I personally feel we are, as India, we're entering into certain areas. So I just saw a few weeks ago, there is a huge amount of 11,000 plus crores are going to be invested for the creating the Indian Atmanirbhar for the oil seed related stuff.
Yes.
Actually,
Yes.
it will take little more time, but yes, it is in right direction. I think a lot of those investment, lot of incentive schemes are coming for the making in India and making it is made in India, making in India, and then Atmanirbhar. So all that I think is getting culminated. Industries needs to also go take little footsteps forward. Actually, we are into the area. Yes, because of pandemic, there are many challenges, but always this kind of challenges throws many opportunities, and
Absolutely.
we should try and grab those
And as
opportunities.
Ashwin said, doing well by doing good. I think that summarized a lot of things what you said, that we must. Tushar, quick comment from you, because there is this Biofuel Circle platform. Then there is a community which you have created by Biofuel Circle. So could you just quickly, in a couple of minutes, tell us about
the idea behind creating this community, which we call as My Biofuel Circle, is essentially to recognize this as a sector which needs to interact with each other. There are a lot of developments happening here, so there needs to be sharing of ideas, sharing of knowledge, and as Mr. Yadav mentioned, and before that, Mr. Ambekar also mentioned, that this is not a fancy thing anymore, that you have this because it gives you some bragging rights, but this is serious business, and this needs a lot of commitment, and we are attempting to essentially bring people together on this platform for a meaningful interaction about the developments that are happening in this space, and for them also to know what is it they can do. So if you look at the community page, you have players in this segment, starting from small, farmers to farm producing organizations who basically supply the raw biomass to the processors of this biomass in terms of briquetters or pellet makers, to the industry leaders also, and the industries who consume this also.
Right.
Apart from this, we also have certain technology specialists and experts, who share their ideas and views about this. So overall, our idea was to create a community page where the community can come together. They can share their ideas, they can share their interests, they can interact with each other, and at the same time, they can also discover, those players or those people who can satisfy their needs, and also maybe use this as a page for getting some advice, about this thing. So that's a holistic solution that we have tried to create by way of my
Circle team for giving us this opportunity to have this cluster-based webinar on sustainable manufacturing. I thank all the speakers, Mr. Ravi Karul, for taking out time and sharing his insights. It was an interesting presentation and gave us a good overview. Ashwin's presentation was walking through the Biofuel Circle's offerings, and it was wonderful to know about such a platform which is solving client issues, customer issues. Rishikesh gave a wonderful insight, again, fantastic presentation in terms of the clean technology evolution and the opportunities in that. Mr. Amlekar and Mr. Yadav both belong to the industry operations heads in their own organizations, and they shared a lot of useful information which was insightful, and I'm quite sure that it is going to benefit all of us. And last and not the least, Tushar, thank you again for giving us an insight into My Biofuel Circle platform, as well as the community what you are creating. I'm quite sure that by doing well, by doing good, all of us are going to live in a better world. With this, I thank you all.